routine to share with you today that doubles as a demonstration of quantum entanglement in card magic. Okay, so for this you need a well-shuffled deck of cards, which I have here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and choose cards somewhere from the middle of the deck, okay, so that no one knows the starting location. And I don't know if we need that many cards actually for this little experiment. Often 8 cards is enough to prove the point here, okay? So I have these 8 cards. So quantum entanglement involves the following idea, that if an individual works with a packet of cards sufficiently, that person and the packet become entangled. And what that means then is that information between the person and the cards and vice versa can be transmitted back and forth, okay? But you have to work with the cards long enough to establish that connection. Now, I've been working with these cards a lot today because I've been shuffling them and mixing them. And you saw what I did here. I just cut off a random number of cards and then dealt out 8. So I don't know if I need to work with them much more, but what we're going to do is we're going to just deal out the cards into 2 piles with random stacking decided by each of us. Now I'm still establishing this connection with the packet here, so maybe I'll just do 2 of these. I've already spent a lot of time with these cards. Now, importantly, I'm going to hand the packet to you because you haven't touched the cards yet. And so I need you to deal out the cards into 2 piles as many times as you like with random stacking decided by you, because human volition plays an essential part in establishing this quantum connection. Okay, so I would hand the packet to you, and then you're free to deal the cards into 2 piles with random stacking. Maybe you'll go right on left, that's fine. Maybe you'll do it a second time, that's fine. Maybe left on right this time, great. And maybe you'll even do it a 3rd time, okay, like that. Maybe right on left again. Okay, so if you're feeling like you've worked with the cards enough to establish a sufficient quantum connection with the cards, all I'm going to do now is just deal out the top 4 cards and have you freely decide which packet will be yours and which will be mine. You want the right one? Okay, very good. I'll get the left. Okay, so this is kind of the moment of truth. We're going to find out if the 2 of us were successful in establishing a strong enough quantum connection with these cards that the cards can freely transmit information from themselves to us. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just take a look at the top card of my packet, which was randomly arrived at, and I'm going to see if the cards can kind of communicate to me what the identity of your top card is. Okay, well, I'm getting a clear image that your card is black. I just see blackness. And I think it's an odd value card. In fact, I think it's the 9 of spades. Oh, it is. It's the 9 of spades. That's amazing. Okay, well, we're 1 for 1 now. Let's check this one here. Okay, so is this one able to communicate to me clearly enough that I can actually sense and know the identity of your card there? I think it's an even value card now. In fact, I think it's red. I think it's the 4 of hearts. Let's take a look. Oh, it is indeed. Okay, we're almost there. We're doing well. Okay, now this one here is, let me just concentrate for just a moment. Okay, this time I think your card is a face card. In fact, it's the highest face card value, which is a king. So it's a king. And it's red, but it's not this red. It's King of Diamonds. Oh, yes, indeed. And last one. I just hope we can do it. We'll have a perfect confirmation of quantum entanglement in card magic. Well, this time I think your card is a black card, even valued, very low value. In fact, it's the lowest even value. It would have to be a 2, and I think it's a club. Oh, yes, indeed. Okay, you have no idea how happy I am to see that we succeeded, because this doesn't always work, okay? So that's amazing that the 2 of us working together were able to confirm the veracity of the claim that quantum entanglement can play a part even in card magic. Okay, so how does this work? Well, let me just bring out a write-up for you here, show you what I've done. Okay, so these are the pairings that I decided to go with. 2 of clubs, 3 of spades, and so forth, okay? And so there's a pattern here that makes it easy to remember. So we have even values for the first cards, and then to get the companion card, you just add 1 to get the odd value immediately above that even value. So 2 and 3, 4 and 5, 8 and 9, queen and king, okay? And then we'll have the suits of the same color, but not be identical. So we have like club, spade, both black, heart, diamond, both red, and so forth. Okay, so let me just set that up really quickly. Okay, so let me just show you what I've done so far. Now, it's not important to have these in order when you set this up. So this is all part of the setup. It just takes like 90 seconds, actually. So you can have these switch, and those switch within that little pair, keep those the same, and then switch those two. I've just gone with them in order, which is fine. Okay, so right now, in the language of the Absolute Math Magic channel, this is called an AMP. That stands for adjacent mirrored pairs. So we have these adjacent pairs of interest right here, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to quickly convert it to a mirrored structure, and you do that by performing either a mange over-under or an under-over. Both of those will work. So I'll do an over-under, 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 over. Okay, so what does it mean for a packet to be mirrored? It means that those cards that were in the special relationships that we set within these pairs are now on opposite ends relative to the center. So here you can see the red king, red queen. There's the 9 and 8, 4 and 5, and 3 and 2. Okay, so it's like the mirrored reflection relative to the pairings that we set up at the very beginning. Okay, now some of you may be aware of the fact that once you have a mirrored structure like this, you can use the stay-stack principle to ostensibly mix the cards and not destroy the mirrored characteristic of the cards. So in particular, for each divisor of the packet size, which here is 8, you can deal the cards into that many piles with random stacking from left to right or right to left, and it will move the cards around, but the cards will still, quote, be mirrored in a similar way to what I just showed you. So for example, so 2 divides evenly into 8, so we can deal out into 2 piles with random stacking, okay? So let me just show you, it's moved the cards around, okay? And if you compare it to what we had, this is a different arrangement, but those special pairs are still in a mirrored relationship to each other, okay? And it doesn't matter how many times you do this or how you stack them. That's the important thing. It really is a powerful principle, the stay stack principle, and I'll add a link in the description below so that you can learn about that. Now, we technically could deal this out into 4 piles with stacking from left to right or right to left, but I think dealing out into 2 piles where the performer and the spectator independently are allowed to decide not only how many times to deal out into 2 piles, but more importantly, how to stack the piles for each of those shuffles. Okay, so that's probably enough. So I did it twice. I think I allowed the spectator to do it 3 times or something. Okay, I'm going to show you the packet arrangement now. Okay, so what I have right here will work just fine. Okay, so we have a mirrored version of the cards that we set up. Okay, so all I did, once I tell you this, you'll be able to do the rest of it. I've used a breather crimp. I don't know if you can kind of see that, maybe a little bit. I've used a breather crimp. I put a breather crimp in this 5 of spades. Now what that's going to allow me to do is cut 2. So I'm going to put my mirrored packet right there, breather crimp on top. And if you want to learn about breather crimps, they're very powerful. And I'll add a link in the description below to a video where I demonstrate and show you how to create these breather crimps and how to use them. So look for that in the description below. But it allows you to freely cut to where you want to start. Okay, so the packet just wants to cut at that location. And now I'm at the beginning of my mirrored packet. Okay, that's the key. And the fact is too, I'm going to go ahead and just put it back together. I just want to point out that the cards, how I had them spread out, and as they look here, they're going to look random because our mere set of 8 cards in the middle is not going to be readily detectable, and all of the other cards are randomized, okay? So this is going to look like a perfectly well-mixed deck of cards. Okay, and then you just, as I said, you just cut to your breather crimp like that. There it is. And then you just deal out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then do everything else that I did. And this will be our little packet that we set up at the beginning, and it's going to enable us to supposedly show the validity of quantum entanglement in the realm of card magic. Okay, and then of course I can easily deduce what your cards are. I guess I should maybe point that out really fast. So if you're dealing this out into 2 piles repeatedly, it won't hurt. It will just give you another mirrored organization of these cards. They'll still be in a similar organization to this. And then what I did was I dealt out the top 4, which reverses their order. So what that means now, these packets are what are called coupled packets. What are coupled packets? That just means that the cards at each level are made up of the very pairs that we set up. Okay, so if I see this card here and I know that my relationship is, okay, I have an even value, I add 1 to get the odd value card, which is 9, and I know it's black, but it's not clubs, so it must be the 9 of spades. Okay, so now you can use these cards to deduce the identity of the spectator's cards. Okay, so this is odd. I subtract 1 to get to 2, and I know it's also black, but it's not a spade, so it's the 2 of clubs, and so forth. Okay, so you just use everything that I showed you in the write-up right here. Okay, so I kind of explain, how you're figuring out the identity of the spectator's cards given one of the cards from each of the pairs. And this one here, of course, comes from this pair. It's even, so I add 1 to that value, giving me a king, but it's red, though it's not a heart, so it must be a diamond, king of diamonds. Okay, well, hopefully that gives you enough information. And then, of course, you can change the pairings that you want to use. You can come up with your own pairings or your own system for being able to deduce the spectator's card once you see the corresponding card in your pile. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos in the Absolute Math Magic channel.